Well, very excited to be joined by Nico de Boinville on the paddock alongside Rishi. Lucky and Tom will be here in a moment. Huge couple of weeks, Cheltenham around the corner, but we must start. Constitution Hill at Southall. How much did you enjoy seeing him do that?
I have to say I was a bit nervous to start with, 10 minutes before, because I'm not used to it being out of my control, you see. But I was very much watching with interest, and I was just delighted that he could show everyone else what we see at home on a regular occurrence.
Did you? No one really knew what to expect. Did you ever think it would be as brilliant as that?
I was very happy with where he was drawn. It just enabled Ashin just to ride a nice race and bit of space and then do what he does.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you? Nice to see
Nico?
you.
See you? Yeah.
Good to see you.
Thanks for getting that.
Second time today.
Yeah.
Hi, mate.
How are you, mate?
How's it going?
Hey, mate. Sorry.
Hello.
You were there, Southall.
Oh, I thought you meant this morning at Kempton.
No, we'll get to that. Lots to get through with Nico, but you were at Southall and you said you'd report back. Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it, actually. It was all that it was cracked up to be, and actually a bit more. It was bizarre. It was quite odd, but it was great fun.
Why bizarre?
I just didn't think that there would be that many people there, all kind of as one. I knew there'd be people there for the horse, and I knew there'd be a bunch of Invades people there. I didn't expect it all to be sort of integrated and sort of 12, 15 deep round the paddock and all the attention and the hoopla, and every Tom, Dick and Harry you could think of was there.
How many selfies did you take?
I did, I'll show you. I got the phone out and...
Hang on. No.
How many selfies did they get of you?
Yeah.
No.
Not about you.
No. I took some pictures.
Oh, you actually did.
Look, there's me with a Friday night bobble hat.
Oh, very good. Yeah. That looks like AI though.
Yeah, no. That's Martin Crowder said he'd donate some money to charity. If I wore
Good
it,
for you.
so I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
There he is. Look, there's your boy.
Yeah, there he is.
Sheen looks good on him, doesn't he?
He does look good. Yeah.
So, would it be fair to say?
So I don't know if any of you noticed, but he was missing his breath girth.
Yes.
So the flat lads don't like them. So the governor went up to Ashin saying, "You don't like breast girths, do you?" Because usually he has them, so they're nice and white, and you can always pick out a Nicky Henderson horse. Yeah. But Ashin did not want one on.
Really?
So,
Really?
Yeah.
So why don't the flat lads like breast girths?
I don't know. Like, I love it because, I mean, if I was coming out the stalls, I wouldn't want to fall out the back of them. So
The thing is, what happened at Southall the other day has led to so many questions, and it's kind of been the talk of the town. We're going to get through that all and more with Nico now, so let's crack on.
I kind of love this horse. Is he taking the piss half the time?
Can you just hold off the decision until this podcast goes out?
Yeah.
Just for us, that would be great.
well, I always gave myself to the age of 25, and if it hadn't have happened by 25,
And you want a gold cup at 20?
exactly.
Yeah, but you need a Constitution Hill.
Constitution Hills are so few and far between.
Exactly.
I like the party idea.
Hashtag social stable.
Now, we should just say it's Tuesday afternoon that we record this, and on Wednesday morning, so tomorrow morning, Nico, you've got a very big morning because you'll be schooling Constitution Hill. But before we touch on that and what happens for Constitution in terms of his training, after Southall, what's the mood at Seven Barrows like regarding the route that you go down? Because everyone is talking about it. Does he run in the champion hurdle, doesn't he? Give us an insight into the yard.
It's probably not in the yard. People probably aren't really talking about it. Everyone's just getting on with their day-to-day lives, and he's come out of his race and they just want a nice and easy time of it. And then, we just got schooling, and it's been very polarizing. You've heard so much noise outside of the yard, but in the yard, it's just day-to-day stuff.
Is that because the yard are clear what they want to do?
No, I think everyone's just got a job to do and get on with it and stop talking.
Okay, but allow us this 10 minutes or so. If all goes well, as we talk tomorrow morning, like that's what you expect to do, do you think? If schooling ticks all of those boxes?
As a jockey and as a rider, I'm going to be doing it all. So I have to be 100% committed and 100% positive. I cannot waver from that. I cannot go in there with a negative mindset at all. It has to be, for me, all or nothing.
Have you ever had a change in mindset about the horse with what's happened over the last year?
On the drive back from Newcastle, I was pretty down and just thinking, what do we do now? So yeah, Newcastle was a tough day to take. But since then, the turn of the new year, I've got a fresh mindset and everything's been going. We brought Yogi in, and yeah, all seems to be going well so far, touch wood.
Does he school differently now? Because we've heard positive reports about his schooling after a couple of the falls. Is he schooling like a better jumper now than he ever has because of the work that Yogi and you guys have done behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think he's schooling great, like fantastic, can't fault him. So yeah, it's onwards and upwards. Like we just keep going and keep challenging him and challenging me. And
what have you done differently in his school? What's Yogi done?
Well, we completely broke it down, started from scratch. You know, started in the school over a few poles, over barrels, and then we just build it up. We got some hurdles in from Newbury, some of the rubber hurdles, and we put them downhill. Something I haven't done since we did it with Coneygree before he ran in the Gold Cup. Built a downhill fence for him. So yeah, we had a couple of downhill hurdles, and then I switched onto the normal hurdle line and up there and let him swing along. And yeah, it's different. It's quite technical, and like to the naked eye, you probably wouldn't see a great deal different. But there's a bit more going on.
Yogi Breisner is jumping guru extraordinaire. I feel we should quantify that. Is he a show jumping background or is eventing?
Yeah. So he's trained British teams eventing.
Can you humour me for a second?
Yep.
So a lot of people talk about horse mentality.
Yes.
And when a horse has gone through the falls that Constitution Hill's had, that he suffers, or we believe, people say suffers a crisis of confidence, then he has an experience like he does at Southwell, which on the outside looking at it, that's something that's going to just buoy everyone around him.
Yeah.
And maybe the horse as well. Is that something that actually manifests itself at home, that the horse has a good experience at Southwell and he has grown in confidence, or he feels different, or does that not enter into calculation?
I wouldn't look into that too much. Obviously, the horse has gone and had a nice time at Southwell, but it's probably more a human psyche thing that everyone around him is a bit more sort of positive and, he's shown the form that he can do. But ultimately, it comes down to schooling and jumping.
I don't know, is it more something to reassure us? Because we haven't seen him do anything for 13 months of any note. So we actually see the horse that is brilliant again. And I guess that's more part of it than, okay, here's a horse who might go and win a Group 1 race on the flat or whatever.
Well, definitely. I think it's more that, it's given you something a bit more tangible to see and to go on, whereas we're seeing that most days at home whenever we work him. So we know what he can do, but I think it's just showcased what he can do and probably given the racing public a lot of confidence that he could go to something like a champion hurdle and go and do what he can do.
But it's given them confidence. I thought what was interesting is how that the narrative changed a little bit because he was so impressive. So it went from, I think I shared your view, Nick, which was if he goes and wins well, then he proves his well-being ahead of a champion hurdle, and great, that's what we need to see. But then he was so visually impressive and on all the data, how fast he was, everyone's going, well, hang on, this could be a proper flat horse. Does it mean he's less likely to run in a champion hurdle? And then the images of the crowd behind Nicky and Michael and the emotion to that, suddenly that meant that I wonder if he could become any more public property, but he seems to have done after that it makes it all the more emotional decision. I know you don't love this, obviously, because you want it to be a very straightforward decision whether he runs or not, and it's not a public decision. But off the back of it, I'm now thinking it's a bigger decision because it was such an event.
It feels like a public decision. Everyone is probably giving you their opinion, Nicky their opinion, Michael Buckley, the owner, their opinion. But for me, I look at it and I think the reaction and the debate in itself, I don't know how to phrase this correctly, so forgive me if I need a few goes.
Lucky will
correct me, I'm sure. But I think it's kind of bad that we're even debating whether he should or shouldn't run as a national hunt horse who's had a few falls. Isterbrack fell twice in 3 runs, came back and won a Grade 2. I know we're in a slightly different era, but the fact that there's so much noise about if he runs, he might hurt himself. For national hunt racing in itself, I think it's bad that we're even debating that. We need to trust Nico, Nicky, Michael to make the right decision, and I'm sure they will, given what they see tomorrow morning. But the idea that we shouldn't allow Constitution Hill to run because he might hurt himself in and itself is bad PR for national hunt racing.
I fully agree with that. I have to say, I think it's a dangerous precedent to set. If a horse has a fall, 2 falls, 3 falls, for the public to be going, I don't want to see that horse run again because I'm scared it might fall and hurt itself again. That's a danger. Where do you set the bar to say whether
from a professional's point of view, I think we have to be careful we don't anthropomorphize the horse, and we have to see what we see and see what we feel and go off that rather than bringing in all this emotion.
But self-evidently, you're not talking about any horse. You're talking about a horse whose risk of falling is, given what he's done over the last 18 months, that bit higher than horse X or horse Y or horse Z, particularly in the heat of that competition, and particularly given the nature of the falls, because there's just clearly something that is a bit wild about how he's been approaching his hurdling.
Of course, and that's why we have to jump through every single hoop, and we have to dot every I and cross every T just to make sure that we are 100% sure going into it that we have done everything possible we can at home.
This may seem like a really odd question. I've never ridden a horse, let alone a champion hurdler. But when you look at the falls he's made, are they completely out of your control? Like, I don't know the answer to that, but is he just stepping when you don't expect him to? Like, when you look back at them, do you look back and go, I could have done something slightly different there that you would implement again if you had another chance? Do you see what I mean?
No, so when he does fall, there is literally nothing I could have done differently. Whereas now, where we've been going is we've been, experimenting with different things as to what he will do if I do something.
Right.
And so it's just a case of eliminating those things that he doesn't like, which could cause him to do that.
That's really interesting.
And essentially working to the point where he likes to be, felt on his mouth and the different contact you have. He's a very different horse to when he was in the Supreme.
And that's probably so important then, because there have been some going, well, you can control the controllables, he's fallen 3 times, change the jockey and he won't fall. But given that work that you're doing with him, it's probably even more vital that you're the man on his back in a race. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, and he's such a different horse, and from where he was when he was winning Supreme or winning those champion hurdles, he's very different how he behaves, and he's changed along that way. And again, he doesn't behave like any other typical racehorse. And it's very hard to explain that to people, but he's not a normal horse. He doesn't behave like a normal horse.
What does he do differently?
So you can't manhandle him. You have to just leave him be. And that takes so much trust between me and him.
Which must be hard for you as a sportsman to sort of keep trusting him, given what he's done when you're going out, I don't know how jockeys are able to put things to the back of their mind as well as you do, but you are going to have to completely wipe the slate clean when you go out if you go out in a champion hurdle with him. Is that fair?
That's completely fair. Yeah, I have had to completely rewire my brain, as in when I get on him.
Wow.
Because usually most horses, if you can just fiddle, slightly move the bit or something, or just support them. Whereas here you cannot.
Is that really hard to rewire your brain to do that? Is it still sort of subconsciously in the back of your mind?
I've been professionally trained since I was 7 years old. So I'm so used to instruction and to teaching myself how to move through these things. So yeah, it's just, I enjoy it. I love it.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that kind of thing.
Without getting too technical, when you say he can't be touched or you have to let him get on with it, what would happen if you did squeeze or try to do too much? What was his reaction?
Well, potentially it could be
Putting him on the floor.
Right. Because he reacts too much to it, or he.
It's such fine lines. But I have to be confident in what I'm doing.
I thought it was quite interesting that Dan Skelton made that intervention yesterday and said, I don't think Nicky should run Constitution Hill. And he did preface it by saying, by the way, I know I've got the favourite. I know I've got the favourite if he doesn't run. So he was quite aware of what he was saying and why he was saying it. But I thought, well, actually, the new Lion, who took quite a similar liberty at Newcastle, when Harry rode him again in the trial race at Cheltenham, he pretty much gave him a jawbreaker into every hurdle. And
he manhandled it.
He manhandled it, but you could see him manhandling it. That's not something you could do with Constitution. So the people saying, could Nico just kind of pot around the back and make sure he jumped everyone really carefully? You can't do that in a champion hurdle, can you?
And ultimately, we will be going at 36 miles per hour for a good bit of the way around. And you can't be doing that.
But isn't that what they tried to do in Ireland? Sort of try to hold him a little bit more and just ease him off the hurdles. Is that not what happened over there?
At Punchestown.
Punchestown, yeah.
He didn't want to line up.
He wasn't really at the races that day, I didn't think. So
I'm sitting here wanting him to run, and there is this. it will be so exciting because of what's gone before. I mean, but that's that's how I look at it. That is the perils of jump racing, and his story only builds into that. It will be fascinating. It will be enthralling. It will be exciting. It will be hiding behind the sofa a little bit because of what's gone before. But I can't wait for that to happen. And what does that make me? But that is jump racing, isn't it?
I think what happened at Southern on Friday was the result of the fact that his fallibility over the last 12 months has led us to actually fall deeper in love with the horse.
Yeah.
And the reaction, genuine emotion to the point of almost welling up, being happy for the horse, is because he's not been able to do what you see all the time. And we finally got a glimpse of that again. The old fire is still there. And I think it would, I'm speaking at maybe just me here, but it seems like a couple of others agree. I think that he deserves a go at the champion hurdle.
I'm in that.
That's what he's bred for.
Well, isn't it that whole? I mean, it's very different circumstances, but in that whole redemption thing, isn't that why Sprinter Sacre became more popular after he had his blip, almost?
Of course it was, even though he wasn't as good then.
Yeah.
That second sort of strike at the top, he wasn't the horse that he was back in 2012, 2013. Whereas, Constitution, we think, and what he's shown us, he still retains all of that ability. But like for me personally, it's a big challenge, but it's a challenge that I am really looking forward to taking on.
Michael Buckley said on your show, Luck on Sunday, that it would bury a few demons for himself. Obviously, you want him to run in the champion hurdle, I imagine, because he would win a champion hurdle if he stays up, etc., etc. But is there a personal, I'd like him to go and do it, and to prove to people that he can still do it? Is there a personal?
No, I don't.
Are you able to?
I don't bring that emotion into it. It's
Really?
just I'm there to do a job, and it's my challenge, and it's very sort of
Cold.
yeah.
But it's what you need in order to come to a clear decision. But if you think about, you talking about other horses, Sprinter, Corto's, perhaps his two most emotional victories came after he got beaten and people were calling for him to be retired after he ran an Ireland, when he came back and he won the Betfair Chase and he won the King George. Those arguably two of the most, that resonated with most people. You think in other sports, I mean, Tiger Woods won absolutely everything, but the one that stands out more than any was his one when he came back and won the Masters in 2019.
Yeah, but these are all good stories.
Well,
if it doesn't go
Yeah,
as we hope it does,
Of course.
then it's also the other side of the coin.
But if it does go,
yeah.
we're talking about one of the greatest experiences we would probably ever have on a racecourse.
But on the flip side of that coin, if it doesn't, we've got an awful lot to answer for.
Yeah.
But then that's where we, as fans, I think, and broadcasters, need to trust Nicky Henderson, who's won 75, whatever it is, festival races, Nico de Boinville, who's ridden however many Cheltenham winners you have, to make the best decision by the horse, and trust you guys to do the work that you're clearly doing,
And it must
and make
always,
the right decision.
but it must always be like that.
But if we're going
For sure.
to do that,
and
then
that's
we
the
have,
point that I go back to. We have to do that.
and if
as
we're
a
going to
sport.
do that, then we have to take a consistent position after the race.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter
Yeah,
what happens.
absolutely.
So if it all goes wrong, then we have to say we were supportive of the decision for the horse to run.
But that won't happen because there have been people who have come out. I've been surprised by people in the racing media, established people in the racing media, who seem to be saying, "Nah, don't run." I've been.
Nico won't mind me saying, because I said it on air the other day. Brough was on Luck on Sunday the other day, making a very cogent case for why the horse shouldn't run in the champion hurdle. And I'm getting text from Nico saying, "Tell Brough to with the zippy emoji."
Yeah.
The cold nature of your approach to this is, as Rishi says, very important. But I imagine if he does run, going to the races on the Tuesday, the blood will be up, right? Will that be the most? I don't know what the word is. Nervous is probably the wrong word, but the most the adrenaline is going through the body going to a Cheltenham day.
No, it's just pure. Just take all the emotion out of it.
There will be people watching that, and I think in life, right, not just racing, that probably at times probably need to be able to manage their emotions. So as an athlete, how are you able to control your emotions?
It's just 100% focus. Blinkered.
Thank you.
It's a challenge. It's not. Yeah, yes, please, Nick.
Can you train that? You said you've been sort of professionally trained since you were 7. Can you?
It becomes over time. Thank you very much.
There must be a human element in there that is where there is that real life moment where you say, So, for example, I interviewed Rory McIlroy. I've said this for you. But after...
Mate, we get it. You just wanted to drop that in.
Name-
No relevance
name
to the
drop.
point coming.
After...
Was this in Dubai?
It was.
You posted.
This was a job that Rishi couldn't do, so thankfully I did it. So this was after he'd won the Masters. And he said quite openly that there was that moment on the 12th or the 13th or whatever it was, where something took over and he got that feeling of, I can't do a bad shot here. And he did a bad shot. And it wasn't this, best golfer in the world staying in the zone. There was a moment of real life, of human and human error. And you must have that in you, where however focused you are aware of the situation. And I don't know whether it's nerves, it's adrenaline. You've got, I think, a whoop on there where your heart rate...
I do not have a whoop. That's why I'm not a whoop person.
He was clubbing last night.
No, that's just a magnet thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
For arthritis,
A
right?
few people have these whoops and I don't get it.
No?
No.
I'd love to know what your heart rate's doing.
We won't be getting sponsored by
His
Whoop
heart
anytime soon.
His heart rate never gets above about 65 beats a minute.
You can just stay cool in the moment.
I can now, yeah.
Could you when you were younger?
It just takes a bit of time to develop, I think. Yeah.
I mean, we're going over slightly the same point in terms of how you're able to maintain it. It's very clear that you're able to maintain that level of cool needed. This may sound like a really horrible question, but I saw someone put on a tweet, what odds is he to fall? Given what you've seen, are you very confident that the errors that you have experienced in the past have been ironed out of Constitution Hill?
I have to be 100% confident in what I do. And don't forget, I've got family as well. They don't want to see me rolling around.
For sure.
So I have to be 100% confident in telling them and telling everyone else that it will be okay.
Yeah. Should we go down the line then? Obviously, you don't have to answer this because I think you want to see him in the Champion Hurdle. Would you, if he was yours, would you run him in the Champion Hurdle?
God, I don't know what I'd do if he was mine, but I want him to run it. I think he should run in the Champion Hurdle, yes.
Lucky.
See, I'd take it slightly differently. If he was mine, I would run him in the Champion Hurdle because I would be happy to take that risk and present my case. But he's not mine. Do I think he should run for the whole sport's sake? I'd be much more on the fence. But if he's mine, I would run him. I would have no problem ethically running him if he was mine.
I'll be brutally honest. After he fell at Newcastle, I said, never over hurdles again would I want to see Constitution Hill. But I've thought about it over and over and over again, and I think it would be the right decision if Nicky, Nico, Yogi, Michael agree that he should run in it, then it's the right decision.
See, that's where I started, Rishi. That's exactly where I was after Newcastle.
You said, no, I can't do this
we
again.
can't do it. We can't do it for everyone. But now, over time, and we've got going again, then, let's have a crack.
It'll be so exciting if we do see him. It'll be lots of things, but it will nerve-wracking.
Can you just hold off the decision until this podcast goes out?
Yeah.
Just for us, that would be great.
Tuesday next week.
So this morning he did say, didn't he? Nicky said it'll be tomorrow. He was saying down
Yeah.
at Kempton. He said,
Yeah, you're schooling tomorrow morning.
said
Obviously, this will be going out in the afternoon. I hope that all goes well. I'm sure if it goes well, we'll get news on his participation. It kicks off if he does run in the Champion Hurdle. What is a unbelievable day for you and Nicky. Just before we get your thoughts on the horses that you rode at Kempton, just up the road from us here at Sandown this morning, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm going there broadcasting it with you guys. Really excited. This festival looks an absolute cracker from start to finish. Open races, competitive races, Britain with good horses, Ireland with good horses. I'm as excited.
How's the social stable going to go?
well, I can reveal that Peter Crouch will be joining me again, which was one of the most successful clips of last year. Thank you very much. I'll be yelling you, well done, Nico, from apart. But yeah, we've got a lot planned. I'm sure you enjoyed that proper festively there, haven't they? But I, as a racing fan, forget my role in the social stable.
Get it back, Ollie, get it back. Come on.
I can't wait for Cheltenham this year. I think it's as good a Cheltenham as I can remember. I know we always say that.
But I agree. It's because of the clashes, the matchups. There are proper deep races that's not just all Ireland.
Absolutely.
It's spread around as well.
it did occur to me today, and I've got the famous last words, but the Supreme Novices Hurdle might have 14, 16 runners in it. And actually the sight of those horses lining up on that tape is going to be a lot more edifying than half a dozen with for Willie Mullins filling the first 5 in the market. You know, and that might yet happen, but I think it's going to be a big field.
And one of those horses in the Supreme will be Old Park Star, who you rode this morning. And I saw a clip on social media of it. You were there. You obviously rode him. It looked to go brilliantly. Is he the real deal, this horse?
He's a lovely horse. He really is. And I think he's only going to get better with age. I think if you go back to Altior Supreme, you know, I think the first 9 home all won Grade 1s through their careers. So I think potentially this Supreme could turn out to be a really good one like that.
Does he give you a feel of an Altior, a Shishkin, a horse you've won the Supreme on in the past?
He's more in the lines of a Shishkin, you know, and he's just got such presence, and he grows a hand on them when you get to the racecourse. You know, you get on him in the paddock and you get on him at home, and he's a different horse when you get on in the paddock. He just seems to grow and fill in, and he's got that presence, I say.
I always find it difficult with horses like him because it not really had to have a battle as such. And Altior, I think that he did have to have a battle before he won his Supreme. And you'll hear people on the circuit saying, "Oh, I prefer a Talk the Talk because he's had to knuckle down and go and win a race." I mean, from your perspective, do you prefer a horse who's just done it so easy you don't know where the bottom of them is?
He had to have a bit of a battle at Kempton the first day, and I think that really showed to us. We didn't know what we were taking to Kempton that day, but ever since then, he just seems to have improved and progressed, and yeah, we're very happy where we are.
I keep getting the feeling that Nicky thinks that Active Innocence might be just as good, the same owner's horse for the Turners.
Yeah, I mean, going into this season, I think Active Innocence was the horse that they all thought was going to go on to do great things, whereas Old Park Star was probably a bit behind, and then over time they sort of flipped around. But Active Innocence is still a very, very good horse. He beat a nice horse into second in the City Banks last time, and I think he's definitely in the right race.
Lulamba as well in the Arkle, which is race 2 on day 1. He looks to have a great chance. I know that he sort of warmed up to it last time, but I like the fact that he was able to do what he did in open company. He's clearly a horse that's kind of learning on the job to a certain extent, but he's clearly a horse with a shed load of talent.
Yeah, he had to do it the hard way at Newbury. I mean, the best ground was on the inside, so I really only ever had one option where to go. And Harry Skelton kept me very tight, you know, going to the cross fence and then turning in, and I managed to get a nice switch up the inside and off he went. But yeah, he's still got a bit of schooling to do, and but I think he's got a very good chance.
Is he? I kind of love this horse. Is he taking the piss half the time? Because when he was down at Exeter, he jibbed and went back into the saddling boxes. But it doesn't look like he's naughty. It just looks like he's playful.
He's like that all the time at home, and he can come out
Just
of a
a
race.
bit of a goon.
Just a child sometimes.
Yeah.
Just so happy to be out in the playground. But yeah, but I think again with him, he's by Nirvana de Burley, and I think they only get better with time.
I mean, it's quite hard to know where the bottom of him is, isn't it?
And I think this year will be that year where we just wait and see, and then next, I think the future years, that's where you're really going to see what he can do.
I love in that race that Nicky's been, you know, so effusive about Lulamba from the off, and even after the game spirit, the way he spoke about him, so highly regarded. And then you listen to the reports about Kopek de Board and what they think and how he's got motors in his backside that's blowing everything away. And then Romeo Coolio, he's going to be... That's why Cheltenham is...
Yeah, great.
But you need those matchups, which is what we haven't necessarily had. And there was obviously that awful year with the Seven Barrows team, who, you know, basically couldn't send anything there. And this is the first time it feels since then that we've got those proper matchups.
Do you get the feeling that Willie Mullins wants to mute Charlie McCarthy a little bit? I love Charlie. I think he's brilliant. I love calling him and talking to him. What did he say? This bit of work he did at Punchestown where it left everything trailing. And all. Then the next day, Willie very dryly said, "I'm sure you've all heard."
But it's the most news we've heard at the Club Saturday. It's gone by, isn't it?
Yeah. Charlie McCarthy, the owner, who said you were underappreciated and underrated as a broadcaster.
Yeah, spot on.
The day after you won your 14th Broadcaster of the Year award.
What a man, Charlie McCarthy. What a judge.
That's the Arkle. You rode Iberico Lord as well today.
I rode Impostoir.
Impostoir, sorry.
So Old Park Star worked with Iberico Lord, didn't he?
And Joyers.
And Joyers.
Fine. And Jango Baie as well, who you ride in the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
So again, feeling good, all set?
He worked very well today, and again, he's got a couple of one schooling session to go, and then we're good to go.
That's. I mean, obviously it's the Gold Cup, so it is the race I am most looking forward to. But that I have absolutely no idea. Firstly, on who's running in it, because Willie might send Factor File to the Rhino, whatever. Right, the moving parts will need to be put in place. but I have no idea how it's going to play out. I just have no clue. Jukebox Man beat you at Kempton, but Jango Baie is a Arkle winner from last year. I mean, so many different scenarios I've played out, and I still don't know who's going to win it.
I think the only thing I think is I just hope that the pace is sound and that we get a truly run Gold Cup, because I think in a few years gone by, it's turned into a bit of a sprint over the last couple. That's how I
Everyone
feel.
says it's like a relentless start to
But
finish.
it's not. Like, if you look, it shouldn't be that the whole field is still there, bang, 2 out. It really shouldn't. And you should see a Gold Cup where horses just, once the pressure is built, just start to drop away. And you go back to Coney Greaves one, and you just see it. Horses just stop to drop away down the back.
And who was carving out the galloping?
But that's what it should be. You shouldn't all be there 2 out. So I'm just, and I'd say that's why you go back to that King George, and everyone says it was a great run because there were 4 in a line. But
Well, it was a great spectacle.
it was a great spectacle, and the handicapper, if he handicapped it, would have said, "I've done a great job." But it wasn't a truly run race for me.
And will a truly run race at Cheltenham round that trip suit your lad much better than Kempton?
I don't know. I hope so, but I think it's just a better spectacle all round. I think that's when you get a true champion.
Well, I presume Haiti Calor will help do that.
Yeah,
He'll bash on, won't he?
yeah, you'd hope so.
Because there are horses there that would appreciate a sprint finish. You think if Factifal or Geleguera did go and turn up there, then they might benefit from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Haiti Calor, that's your horse.
Can you take? There will be lots of people, we hope, watching this that are kind of dipping their toe into racing in the racing world. Are you able to take us back to when you won the Gold Cup? We talk about it as the pinnacle of the sport. I mean, how old were you when you won it?
25.
25. You were still claiming, so you were relatively early on in your career. You had this great horse who was a novice, so he was kind of ahead of his time.
Yeah.
As were you. Take us back to winning a Gold Cup as a 25-year-old. Was that your most special day on a racecourse?
It was back then, yeah.
You've had a few good days since then. Yeah.
No, it was a fantastic day, and there was an awful lot of faith put into me by Mark and Sarah Bradstock and their owners. And there was all that link with John Oaksey and Chicky Oaksey, and it was just a great day all around, yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? It's only, 11 years ago? And
Were you fronting ITV then?
I'm not sure ITV.
Oh, all right, Channel 4.
ITV existed, by the way. It's been around a while.
Yeah, you were
Channel
4
4
then, weren't
Channel
you?
4.
He was.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to think of that day now and think, well, could that happen? Can we envisage a scenario like a Coney Gree, a British homebred with a stable who probably had no more than a dozen horses at the time, ridden by a conditional jockey? The horse is still in his novice season. Yeah, it's such a romantic story. Yet the sport seems to have evolved so much since then.
I don't think it could happen now. I really don't. I mean, these big trainers, they've sort of developed empires, haven't they? Empires of horses and owners, and it just seems to have got bigger and bigger. And I think the one story that could possibly match that would be if Adam Nicol won this year.
Yeah.
That would be an amazing
Triumph
story.
Hurdle, yeah.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. But
Those kind of underdog stories are so important, I think, to the sport.
They keep it going. I mean, the Coney Grease story, you go back to obviously Norton's Coin. Those are the stories that keep people going.
Gives everyone
people
hope.
who have the small stables, that one day they get a shot at that glory.
But Adam Nicol, I was on my conditional course with him.
Really?
We rode a lot together, and then he went and rode horses like Lady Buttons and things like that. And it'd be fantastic for him to have a horse run well.
Got right chance as well.
Yeah.
Adam's horse.
Form is good.
Do you think that's worrying, the empires created or being created at the moment? You mentioned it there, that there are certain real powerhouses in the sport and less of those stories.
I think it's just the way of the world. I think. Oh,
Sorry, you crack on.
Sorry, he's making another
Tea's coming.
Yeah.
it's the way of the world. It's the political landscape. It's the economics of the world, the globalization of everything. I think.
Yeah.
At least you're part of one.
Exactly.
Is there a plan in place for Nicky to have? Would you ever go into training and take over at Seven Barrows?
No, I've been very fortunate in that I can see. I've had a ringside seat of what goes on and what it takes to be that good, and it's just not for me. It really is.
Let's retire you.
Retire me now.
What is for you?
Oh, I don't know. Just
Do you think about it? Have you thought about it?
yeah, of course. It's always, you always do think about it. I mean, you don't want to prepare for nothingness. But I don't think you'll see me. I don't think you'll see me again.
Really? You're not going to be at the forefront of something in racing?
No, I don't think
You'll
so.
happily go underground, family,
Yeah.
kick back.
No, I just do my own thing, and maybe it'll get to, if there's like a great charity. I mean, I've just seen Harry Skelton starting his initiative, and I think that's a fantastic thing to sort of start up. And if something like that comes along, then I'd love to get involved. But
That's the Skelton Scholarship supporting pony racing.
What would you be doing if this hadn't gone the way you were determined it was going to go?
well, I always gave myself to the age of 25, and if it hadn't have happened by 25,
And you won a gold cup at 20.
exactly. So it's kind of forced.
Yeah.
But that would have been it. Yeah.
Did you go to uni or anything like that? Did you have a plan professionally?
I would have gone back to university or something like that, or started.
How did you feel back then that you were? How appreciated did you feel by the racing public? Did you ever have a gauge on that at all?
No, I'm never one for social media or anything like that. And I guess you just do your job. That's all it is, yeah. And if you can make a living from it, ultimately we all have to make a living. And I think some people forget that sometimes. Jockeys have their own businesses, and we're all just trying to make a living and to feed our families.
And could you have anticipated that it would have gone as well as it has?
No.
That you would have got on the horses you have, that you wouldn't as many Grade 1 winners as you have.
No, definitely not. I mean, it's just you take it year by year, and I'm very, very fortunate where I am in that I have a very good boss, and he managed to get some great owners and because of that, some great horses, and every year something seems to turn up.
How do we find Nico to interview?
I think, but I'll be completely honest, I think this sounds condescending, I don't mean this in any way, so forgive me. I don't know whether, I'm sorry.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Sorry.
Bloody nightmare.
No. I think you've got so much better. As in, I remember doing an interview when they launched the David Power Jockey Cup.
Oh, yeah.
And I did the media launch of it, and you guys all sat on a sofa and you said, we're going to make ourselves more accessible to the media. And I thought, yeah, right, you're probably just saying that because someone's paying you to be there. And from that moment on, you've been doing a lot more. I know you say you're not into social media. You've done a lot of videos with Alan Johns that are funny. You've done a lot of podcasts, and now why are you laughing?
Is it possible that you've got better?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure I have to. That's good. But, and that's what I don't know whether it's a conscious shift to make yourself more approachable. And we've spoken about it on here that for racing to really cut through, people want to know your personalities a lot more than they want to know mine or Rishi's. You're the stars of the sport, as are the horses, obviously. So I don't know whether it has been a conscious shift in you. Maybe you've just got a bit older and I don't know what the answer is.
Over time and with age, you get a bit more comfortable in your own skin, and essentially you've got nothing more to prove, and you are who you are. But the David Power Jockeys Cup thing did do a great lot for us, and I think it enlightened us to our reach and what we can do. I know it's not happening anymore, but it's certainly opened a few channels.
I definitely saw a shift. Not just you, but in a lot of people.
I think your personality, and we've seen your personality here. There's that mischievous
mugs
quality.
me and Lucky off.
You're happy to take the piss out of people, which is great. And beforehand, but we don't necessarily get that from you when you've just ridden a winner and we thrust a microphone in your face. I think you're very considered there. I feel you're someone who knows when he's been asked a slightly stupid question and won't necessarily give it won't give it a sort of fluffy answer.
Jump racing's Ryan Moore, is that what you're saying?
No,
I wouldn't go that far. Yeah, he does interviews for a start.
The best interviews I find with Nico is when ITV make us do the beaten jockeys. Because when you're walking back in, because you're so concise, it's beautiful. So you
always give us something.
Yeah,
that's the great thing.
It's like you've boiled it down in your head straight away. And as soon as we stick the microphone, I go, Nico, you rode whatever the name of the horse is. What did you think? You went rubbish.
That's great. That's very good.
It's perfect.
the thing is, I suppose what people like you guys will know, but what people probably don't realise is that when you're interviewing jockeys after the line, you've only got a set amount of time. So if a jockey can just talk, then and you can talk rubbish, like 20 seconds, that's all you need. And then they've got to go to something else. So I'm fully aware that I've got probably, I don't know, 30 seconds to say something, and then they've got to move on. So
all the time. The one thing I would say about that is that if you didn't want to speak, if any jockey didn't want to speak, then none of us, no one in ITV, no one on racing TV would ever be annoyed by that, provided that kind of, look, please don't interview me now, I'm
Yeah.
fuming or whatever. Sometimes, and not in any way saying this is you, but sometimes you can get told to F off. And like you're going, hang on, I'm not making you do this,
Yeah.
you know, and that's when I'm like, that's just a rude interaction that doesn't need to happen.
But I think as well is that if people expect you to talk straight away, but perhaps there have been things that have gone out on the track which have really, really annoyed you, and someone is going to get it in the weighing room somewhere, and you're just and then you
don't
get
wanna-
someone to come and stick a microphone in your face, and then you just have to calm down, simmer down, and just
Might be quite a good sort of like middleman before you go to launch yourself. So.
I always thought you had this knack of separating the professional and the personal quite well too. That you knew when you needed to be in the zone doing your job, and if it came across as being quite cold, it's because you just required that focus. Is that something that not afflicts you, but is that something that's more characteristic when you were a little bit younger, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. There's a time and a place. It's business and pleasure, isn't it? And I know when I've got a job to do, and when I can have a bit more of a laugh. And and the weighing room, it's a very sort of safe space, as it were, and it's good fun in there. But when you leave that weighing room, you're doing a job, and you've got to get it right.
Has the weighing room changed in the last 5 years in terms of like you mentioned that you might be Larry and have a go at something? Like, is there still that kind of shouting if something goes wrong, or is it now a sort of, I don't know, a happier place?
It's a lot calmer. I'm not saying the laughs have stopped. It's a good, fun place to be in, and there's lots of young people in there. There wouldn't be as much aggression as there was when I started, maybe. And instead of if someone wrongs you, I think it's more a sort of one-to-one talk rather than a
Pin you up against the wall.
exactly.
Were you ever on the end of any of them?
I've never been pinned, but I definitely had a few dressing downs. Yeah.
I can imagine a young.
Can we go into that? Hang on.
Yeah.
Who's that posh?
I was just going to say, looking at the race card, Nico de Boinville.
Yeah.
That was what we were like when you started off. How do you say? I can imagine that.
Yeah. But no, it's a really good, fun place to be in, and it's always someone's always got a story.
Could you pass me my phone, please? Because I wrote some notes on the way here, because one thing Southall did tell me, I don't know whether we know whether Constitution Hill is going to run, but one thing I did think after Southall was I had an idea for a 5-day festival on the back of what I saw in the reaction to the Invades thing. And I wrote some notes. This is a sort of entry into my brain because it's a jumble, but I wanted to put this forward as an idea, as we often do on the Paddock. As I often do, and normally get laughed out the room, but that's fine.
Well, by the way, your Epsom idea has
Well, I don't-
sort
Did you come up with the idea for the
sort
Ibiza?
No, I didn't push
Hot tubs.
for Wayne Lineker, but an O Beach. But I did, I mentioned about music at these events, and kind of that's not a new idea really. But anyway, I think that once again the 5-day festival conversation, as it always does around Cheltenham, will probably come up. Now, I think that the direction...
You've got to have had a tip-off.
No, but I think it might...
Someone from the Jockey Club giving you a tip-off that they want a 5-day festival.
Honestly, that hasn't happened, but I would imagine, as it always does at Cheltenham, it probably will get spoken about in some quarters. So I saw what happened at Southall, which was a hugely popular night with a load of students coming racing for the first time. And if the Jockey Club decide to do 5 days at Cheltenham, which there is always a conversation about in recent years, my idea is this. So can I just spitball it? And you can all shoot me down. I'm sure lots of people in the comments will. But you have 5 days of racing at Cheltenham, okay? And you do Monday to Friday. So you're not competing with the Saturday sport and audience and column inches. So that's the first point. The Monday is a non-festival race day. It's like an Invades race day where you get new fans, students from the area to come racing. On the Monday, you have handicaps for 0 to say 125 horses who probably aren't good enough to run in festival races. So you make it a competitive handicap card. One exception, you put the Mayor's Hurdle as a non-festival race on the Monday, maybe make it a grade 2, but you run it for some good money, and therefore it might slightly remove the appetite for a owner or a trainer with a good mare to run the horse in the Mayor's Hurdle at the festival, because people want festival winners. So you still have something that supports the Mayor's programme, but it's not a non-festival race day. And then in the evening, you have your music acts, all the students are there, and you have like the opening ceremony for the festival night. You can maybe build that into a preview or something. So you have a race day on the Monday. You run it on the new course, so you have 2 days for the ground to kind of come back to itself. And therefore you have 5 days, which would make commercial sense that's why they want to do it commercially. You have all the stands up, the shopping village, you have all the commercial benefits for the Jockey Club. It's a non-festival day, Monday to Friday, with the Mayor's Hurdle being put on that card as a good race, but a non-festival race. And that might help the argument of whether a good mare should run in the Mayor's Hurdle or the Champion Hurdle, because it's a non-festival race. Now, I'm not saying that because I know you wanted 3 days, but if they are adamant on 5 days of racing at Cheltenham in the middle of March, then that is, I think, a solution to it that would hopefully please both sides of the argument. Discuss.
It wouldn't please Stratford or Taunton, I wouldn't have thought.
Are they making
race
any
on Monday.
money out of it? How are they making any money out of it?
Well, you have all the concession stands up on the Monday. You bring however many thousands to the racecourse that would generate a significant profit, I imagine. Well, I know it would.
That's because you're getting paid to say that.
By the way, to be completely clear, there is no one at the Jockey Club that has told me to come here and say that. I was just thinking about, on the back of what was everyone was saying after Southall, what a night. Why don't we do more of that? Well, why not have a Monday precursor to the festival at Cheltenham with all the shopping village, all the bars, all the stands open?
Would it work on a Monday as opposed to a Saturday? They want it commercially on a Saturday because Saturday is the most profitable. That's why all the tracks have moved to the Saturday.
Okay, well,
a chance.
I like the party idea.
Have an opening ceremony, preview night. And
how do you think non-festival goes down? How do you demarcate it as?
Well, it's like I mean, that happens a lot in, America have Santa Anita on say it's a Breeders' Cup on the weekend. They'd have a Santa Anita race, say, on the Wednesday, wouldn't they, or Thursday? Thursday. You just have it as a non-festival day, but it's still a competitive card.
I'm not going to rubbish your idea. I'll let everyone else do that. But
please do.
No. But I did. There was a thought that occurred to me the other day
okay.
about the Mayor's Hurdle. There's so few incentives to run a decent horse between Christmas and Cheltenham, and you put money on it, people will show up. If you had on Cheltenham Trials Day a Grade 1 race for mares worth 250 grand, you'd have every decent mare in England and Ireland running in it. And then that would tow them very nice, and that would be your Mayor's Hurdle,
right? And
that would tow them very nicely, as well as being a championship race in itself, into running in either the Champion Hurdle or the Stayers.
So you've got your pot, and anything else.
I'd have a 2.5 mile Mayor's Hurdle run at Cheltenham on what they call Trials Day.
As a Grade 1 or Grade 2?
Grade 1, 250 grand. That is the elite mares race, and then if they can win that and win the Champion Hurdle. Happy days.
I think my point about having 5 days of Cheltenham, just 5 days of racing at Cheltenham.
I've taken you off the track.
No, but that's a very good suggestion as well. But this is what I think people should be doing, putting ideas in the melting pot. We have a very small window annually where racing is in the shop window, mainstream. Cheltenham Festival, Grand National, Ascot, and a few others, York maybe, etc., Derby.
So you think there's a bit of scope for the lemon to be squeezed a bit?
Absolutely. I think if you want racing to be front and centre in the sporting sense, why not have an extra day of your main event?
Because my main issue is that you've looked at Southall and you said Southall's a success, so let's replicate that at Cheltenham. Not obviously entirely, but based on the same principle. And the reason why Southall was a success, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, but it's primarily because of Constitution Hill. The build-up to the whole meeting at Southall came from when Nicky said, we want to run Constitution Hill. We're looking for a race on the all-weather. Southall put their hand up. The sponsors, they got the race put on for Constitution Hill. They built it around a horse.
Yeah, the fact that there were lots of people there would have been there anyway.
Yeah.
Constitution Hill, because Invades, and we had Dom on last week, brought them to the races. So
But Dom brings people to the races anyway. So for other days that don't have the same impact as Constitution Hill did.
I'm fully aware of the significance of having Constitution Hill on that card, but I'm saying
on the Monday,
the Mayor's Hurdle.
Yeah, but you need a Constitution Hill.
Constitution Hills are so few and far between.
Exactly.
But my point is, if you want to get 20,000 people at Cheltenham on a Monday, on the 5th day of what wouldn't be a festival day, but you know what I mean, the 5th day of racing at Cheltenham, in this case the first, partner up with students, get people going who haven't been racing before, and give them a taste of horse racing. It's so rare that you're going to get a Constitution Hill on that Monday. I understand that, but give them a flavour of racing.
Why are you doing it alongside the festival? What's the benefit of doing it alongside the 4 days?
Well, my point is that if the Jockey Club, who I'm not in conversation with, are thinking of a 5th day of the festival and it's going to head that way, then this is the middle ground solution for a 5th day of racing at Cheltenham that isn't going to compromise the actual festival. It actually doesn't compromise the horses or the racing at the festival.
Well, unless it shits it down on the Monday, and then everyone's going to be going, well, what's the ground going to be like for the rest of the week?
Also, the sort of
Maybe
races
do that
that
if
you'll
it sh-
propose,
shits it
apart
down
from
on
your
the
mayor's
Monday.
hurdle, the kind of races that you're going to have on will presumably attract extremely large fields.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
a
Big
bunch of
betting
0 to
turnover.
125s. Yeah, but you'll absolutely chew the place up, won't you?
Well, this is your
What
point,
does
probably.
Jockey think?
I just don't think there's enough ground for it. I really don't.
You think the turf?
I mean, if
just
you go to Punchestown or Leopardstown, they've got so much turf, and they can just keep pushing us out. So essentially, you're on fresh ground every single day,
Right.
and you just cannot do that at Cheltenham.
When you see the conversations, and I'm sort of reigniting it, I'm aware of that. But when people go, should there be a 5-day festival? We've spoken about it before. We're sort of bringing it up again. But what's yours and the jockeys' views on whether they're, because for you it's incredibly lucrative when it goes well. So surely you and the other jockeys who are going to have a host of good chances would go, yeah, give me an extra day where I can make 30 grand or whatever it is.
And the mercenary in me says yes, but if I'm thinking about our horses and looking after our horses, which is most of my job, then I'd say no. Half this time, throughout the season, if you're watching Cheltenham, if you actually go down onto the track and see the amount of turf we are racing on and how close those rails are together, you don't actually have that much space because they're constantly trying to save ground, and you just can't do it. You'd have to give up sort of like Trials Day or New Year's Day.
Right.
You'd have to give up another meeting, I'd say.
Thank you for humouring me with my
No,
idea.
I mean, the thing is, I think the Jockey Club were looking at fifth festival day, not a 5th day.
I know, but
which I know you're.
that's
the,
what I'm
you're
saying. It's
you're
the middle ground
compromise.
to.
But the compromise is a day lacking in quality, bar one race.
Yeah, but you're going to
See,
get 30,000 people there that are buying drinks,
But that's
shopping.
you don't need to put it alongside the festival.
Okay, maybe.
Maybe you can look to.
But if they're
schedule it-
convinced there needs to be 5,
But
maybe that's what they do.
if you could be confident that you could have 60,000 people in for 5 consecutive days, and you could fill those days with high class competitive racing, then you'd do it in a heartbeat, wouldn't you? Commercially, the case would be so strong.
Yeah.
But the reason commercially the case wasn't strong was because they didn't think they could fill. There was competition for the TV Saturday, and also because the levy board said they didn't think the betting turnover over 5 days would necessarily give you another, whatever it was, another 20%.
But if you put competitive
on top.
handicaps on it, might.
Also, the other problem is that for the last few years,
We haven't had enough horses.
well, the 4 days of the festival have suffered in terms of attendance, quality, competition. So instead of looking at extending for a 5th day, let's just strengthen what we've got at the moment, build it up, restore it to what it was, get the customer service right, which is what the Jockey Club have done. So whilst we're doing that, I think at the moment, let's just make sure that what we've got in existence is as good as it can be
And get
before we
good
look at.
Wi-Fi on the track as well.
And the other thing I wanted to do if you did it on the Monday, have a music event in the evening, but build in, like BBC covered Glastonbury, right? And they have Lauren Laverne and whoever it is going to an act. Well, you could have a preview program.
Well, I do think they could do more.
So your Friday night entertainment on perhaps an ITV could be, whichever band you want to get, but in between the acts when the sets are changing over, have a 5-minute champion hurdle preview and then go to so you build it into like an entertainment program basically. Anyway, you had an idea actually about sort of, because Dom, why are you winking, you bastard? It's a terrible idea. Clearly you think it is. Who knows? Let us know what you think. But Dom talked about focusing on sort of investing locally in racing. And I remember speaking to you about ideas to sort of support like a Newton Abbot and have a festival in and around local.
Yeah, so I love the idea. So I think for me, summer jumping I struggle with it. And I would like to see a sort of more sort of Irish blueprint where you go and spend 3 days down at Newton Abbot, then you have a 3-day festival at Worcester the following weekend, and then the next day you move on to Southall or Stratford.
Yeah.
And therefore you're saving ground, you're smashing it up, but then it's got 2 or 3 weeks to recover. And then you all spend sort of 3 days down there, And I think that would be great, and you'd bring in the crowds.
I know when we do air and we all go up there, it's really good to have like everyone there for 3 days, and then they kind of go back to wherever they're from.
Well, it's the whole kind of festivalisation of the sport. Isn't it? It's about events now rather than race days.
But that's a really good idea, I think. If you knew that you had Cartmel's very popular on bank holiday weekends. Yeah. If you go, right, we're off to Newton Abbot for 3 days, and the kind of racing roadshow becomes that, really.
Market Raising Festival?
Whatever you want.
We were chatting before you came in about sort of topics that we wanted to speak to Nico about, and you mentioned something about the kind of life of a jockey, right? And how a jockey's life is and what can be done to improve it.
Yeah, just if you had the opportunity, Nico, because obviously we often talk about jockeys and how they exist in the world that they do, and you talk about, you know, your mental side of things. If you were in the position to help improve the lot for jockeys, what would be the one, if you had that opportunity, what would be the things that you would change? What would be the one thing that you would do?
So I know a lot of my colleagues, particularly on the flat, would love to see saunas reintroduced. I think that's going on. There's a load of sort of stuff going on around that at the moment.
Positively.
As in to bring it back.
Yeah.
Good. And why is that incredibly beneficial to a jockey to have a sauna, as was the case back in the day in the weighing room?
Because I think it can be regulated. You know, it's
your weight loss can be regulated.
Weight loss, yes, exactly. Whereas right now, you don't know what lads are doing. So that's one thing. But I don't know. I think the life of a jockey is fantastic, but there are times when it is seriously tough mentally, and you're going to have a lot more bad days than good days. But I think the preparation of it, I think from the foundations, from the racing school, I think the true realities of what it takes to be or get to a level probably needs to be highlighted a bit more.
Just remembering Ronnie O'Sullivan talking about the life of a snooker player.
Yeah.
And he was saying that one thing that they never did on the World Snooker Tour was provide, because a lot of it is you alone competing, you're alone, and you don't have someone to talk to when things are tough.
Yeah.
Or, do jockeys have people to go to if they want to relate, or is it other professionals?
Outside of their partners, right?
Oh, right.
As in...
Yeah, so the PJ is aligned with the Sporting Chance Clinic, which is Tony Adams set up.
Right.
And a lot of sporting people go through that, you know, when they are having difficulties in life. And probably amongst the jockeys, it's not used enough.
Yeah.
And probably, you know, speaking to someone, you know, once a week or once a month is highly beneficial.
There was a case in America, Rondale Moore. I don't know whether you saw it. He was a wide receiver for the Vikings, and he passed away last week. And there's a lot of talk around that, the sort of mental health and well-being for NFL players. And I saw a tweet from another NFL player saying, the NFL will come out and say, we're doing all that we can for mental health of our athletes. But the reality is, if a NFL player went to speak to someone, they would be slightly ostracized from the pack because they're alerting people to a problem that they may have. For all that it's an amazing thing to go and speak to someone, and it will be of huge benefit. Do you feel that within racing, people aren't using that as much as they should because they would feel a little bit ostracized from the group, or that people might look at them slightly differently if they were to open up?
I think it's definitely changed in the last 10 years. And we've had some major events in the jumps weighing room. You know, a couple of people have died, and that made us all really sit up and think. And it's definitely something which is, spoken about now.
Good. So as in, sorry, a couple of people, as in,
well, we had
jockeys have taken their own life?
Yeah, James Banks and Liam Treadwell, and we were all very, very close with them. You know, I skied racing with James Banks, and you know, I was on the Fagentry with him, and incredibly sad, and incredibly sad that it got to that point.
I think it's extraordinary to some extent that, and I think this is a case of wider society that's definitely improving. But naturally, in a weighing room or in a sporting environment where toughness is spoken about in such a positive way, that you know you can have a fall and damage a part of your body, and you can come in the next day with signs of that on you, and people think, "Oh, look how tough he is! He's coming back. He's limping back in the weighing room," and yet to open up about something that's going on inside your head could be conceived as a form of weakness, whereas it's the same as the physical ailment. It's just up here. But I suppose I can understand it in that environment. It's not an environment I've ever been in, but where you might be concerned it will be perceived as weakness, and you are competing against these people and you are trying to win.
I think it ultimately it comes down to if you're worried about people's perception instead of just focusing on you and what's right for you. I think if you're truly balanced within yourself and you know sort of what's right or what's wrong for you, what you can and can't take, because don't forget, pain is incredibly subjective. Ollie's moaning about his finger over there.
I was asking him for advice.
Good job, Jockey.
Only a little bit sore as well.
So yeah, but yeah, it's about knowing yourself, but also going and talking to people in the weighing room, and hopefully we are approachable, and that we can talk about that kind of thing if you are going through a tough time.
And do you think horse racing as a sport, because of what is required to be a professional jockey, is more susceptible to mental health issues, or than other sports, say, or than wider society, or not necessarily?
I think when you're operating at sort of any elite level, whether it's sport, business, everyone goes through the same thing.
But if you're in business, you're rarely getting pelters from people on social media saying,
yeah, but you might have lost a company £5 million, and you can't,
True,
and that's a major thing. So yeah, I think it's across the board. If you are operating at that level, you're going to get those trials and tribulations. And
just as you mentioned, everybody has their own pain threshold. Everybody has their own mental thresholds as well. So, what some people can take, other people might not be able to take.
Exactly. Look at Donald Trump. He's just got skin as thick as a
Teflon.
Yeah, exactly.
Donald Trump's name would come up on this podcast today too. He's sort of everywhere.
But that's it. It's so different for different people. And, if someone says a comment on social media, some people can really take that to heart. Whereas, ultimately it doesn't matter.
You do a lot in the mental well-being space. Do you think racing can do more?
Always. You can always do more. I mean, there are, Racing Welfare do a great job, and they are aligned to other organisations that help. But truth is, I don't think there's enough that's been done, because there's always more to be done. I remember coming here at Sandown a few years ago with a friend of mine. We were trying to produce some work. This was before COVID. To produce some work to help across the industry, and we spent some time in the weighing room talking to jockeys, talking to members of the BHA board, etc., who were here working, stewards, etc. And everybody, even though there was help available, everybody was saying they need more. Everybody to a person. Unfortunately, it never materialised because COVID happened, and what we had produced got put on the back burner, and nothing is obviously BHA putting out fires every week is something different. But I still think there's room to do more, because, as Nico says, it doesn't matter whether it's a jockey, a trainer, a member of stable staff, people helping at the racecourse. Everybody has challenges, every single person. So,
and it's kind of nuts, really, the point you made, to go back to one of your earlier points at the start of this, that the whole Constitution Hill debate is rightly around the well-being for the horse, but rarely it's about, do you know what I mean? Like,
somebody did say last week, and we don't want Nico to get hurt either.
You know what I mean?
I hadn't even. I considered it. It's terrible, but I hadn't.
And that's highlighted it, I think, to us, that actually you've got a family. This is a decision that you want to get right for you and your family.
Yeah.
And your well-being, mental or physical.
I've got a bit more on the line than,
than all of us.
Yeah.
But again, when we think about the situation, this is the thing a lot of people are thinking about from their own selfish point of view. And their selfish point of view is they want the horse to come out and run or whatever. They're not thinking of all the things associated with it, including you putting yourself on the line with the horse. The fact that Nicky will have that conversation with Michael Buckley to say, it's on me, and Michael having to also go with that.
And then front up.
But ultimately, we're dealing with these questions day in, day out. But it's just slightly ramped up.
Yeah.
For a man whose emotions are never far away from the surface, Nicky Henderson must have an enormous reservoir of mental strain. Because I found it quite extraordinary at Southall how, if I'd been him, I'd have just wanted to go and hide somewhere for half an hour. And I'm quite happy to turn it on and talk to everyone, whatever. But he was there sitting, having to get through dinner, chatting to people on his left and right, walking through this packed owners and train and stopping and talking to her. I'd have just wanted to go and hide, to be honest. So even though he's someone who, you see the tears, you see the emotion, you sometimes see the frustration, the anger, whatever, he must be as tough as old boots inside.
He is incredibly resilient. And don't forget, over those years, he has seen it all.
Yeah.
And, from jockeys, owners, stable staff, you name it, he has seen it. I can get hold of him for over an hour after Friday night. And I was like, what is he doing?
Celebrating.
Yeah.
So he was just checking if Sheen's jumps license was still in the pack.
I saw a couple of comments. Sheen's still got a jumps license. Oh yeah, that'll happen. Yeah.
He might want a breast girth, though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been amazing to have you, and thank you so much for stopping by. Will you be sort of hiding for the next 2 weeks, keeping a low profile?
I've got a couple of previews to do, and that's about it, really.
And just before you go, are there any horses that we haven't mentioned that you're particularly excited to see at Cheltenham? Any handicappers that you think would go close?
No.
I love
There we are.
that.
Back to Nico. There he is. Back to Nico.
You
Yeah.
didn't even try and disguise that out the back of your hand, did you?
Yeah.
Anything that hasn't been offered yet? Or not?
No. Was the
Did you know, little known fact, but I do bring it up with him quite often, we were actually taught to ride by the same person.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was
And I
that?
mean, look at the results. Look at the results.
Who was that person?
Marjorie Ramsey.
Wow.
Yeah.
At the same time, or
And
I would think probably.
I'm a shade in front,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
what you both very well.
How did she critique you on your riding ability?
It was no holds barred, was it?
Honestly, I know this is a joke, obviously, but it's a semi-serious point. I can't imagine anyone who could have prepared you better in a lot of respects for how your career went.
Yeah.
Absolute legend.
Where was she based? Down in Cheltenham.
She's sort of Newbury way now.
Yeah.
Well, it stood you in very good stead from a riding point of view, and you somehow found your way into the
It stood me in quite good stead in having some basic understanding of how to ride horses. Yeah. Well, I couldn't do it myself, but
amazing. Honestly, it's been an absolute treat to have you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
No, it's been great. We've covered a lot there. Let us know what you think in the comments. Follow us at the Paddock UK. If you've got any questions for any of the guys for future episodes, do get in touch below.
Hashtag social stable.
Speaking of which, isn't Chris Hughes formerly of that parish, isn't he?
Yeah, ex-social state. He will be coming on the Paddock
coming
in a
on the
few
Paddock.
weeks. Yeah, after Cheltenham. Yeah, so we will be friends reunited here.
Yeah.
Nico, I just have to get one in there before we say goodbye. Thank you. Good luck at Cheltenham, mate.
What is the hashtag then?
The Paddock UK. Shut up. At the Paddock UK.
Not the social state.
Really good.